Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to VR Roundup, the VR news and current event show, episode 7. Lots to talk about, but we're going to start things off with a little bit of childhood nostalgia. When we were kids, when many of you were kids, we used to have imaginary sword fights, or if you're my generation and younger, lightsaber duels. And in those duels, the Rebel Alliance or the Empire's own fate hung in the balance with every strike, thrust, and parry. And as we aged, and let's be real, our imaginations waned a little bit, on occasion we'd still pull out those dusty and rusty weapons and have epic duels like we used to have when we were kids. Hopefully, we even learned a few better moves along the way to make the battle that much more memorable. I still remember one of those battles. In fact, I remember the last one that I had with Exidy. I remember it clearly like it was yesterday. It was 1991, and I'd pulled out the weapons that we had created and done battle with that whole summer. And Exidy got the idea to, maybe go and take the battle outside.
Hey, record. No, let's get out there and do a duel.
Yeah. And I remember his PVC weapon. It was a two-handed Scottish claymore. And man, was this thing deadly. And his skill and dexterity with that thing, absolutely second to none.
What was that, man? The Adventures of Conan.
And you know what? So what if we looked like idiots or jesters or fools? For us and our imaginations, and especially when you're kids, it's just about having fun. And to us, those battles seemed as real as a battle could feel. It was our version of virtual reality back in the day. And maybe the sword fighting techniques that we used weren't really representative of kendo, medieval Europe, samurai, Jedi, or hell, any real or imaginary sword fighting style. But it was our style, and that is what made it fun. And as I was saying at the start, most of you probably had similar battles, and I'm sure kids today still do that. Unfortunately, for the kids today with smartphones, it isn't as easy to escape from the embarrassment of youth. When viewed years later, a lot of that evidence survives. Lucky for Exidy and me, we lived in a time where not everybody and their cousin had a smartphone. Thus, the stuff could not be filmed that easily. I can imagine if it was, having to live down the embarrassment of that and have it live on years and decades after we leave this planet to join the Force. Well, now you and your buddies can relive those battles with some modern day props and technology. Jedi Challenges is an AR kit developed by Lenovo and Disney, and it retails for $200 US. The aim of the kit, to let you feel what it is like to wield a lightsaber in battle as a member of the Rebel Alliance, which of course means you are then up against the Empire. The kit contains the Lenovo Mirage AR headset, tracking beacon, 2 AA batteries, and all the required cables. According to the reviewer, the setup was pretty involved and not as simple or straightforward as he had hoped. Tracking quality, however, was decent, and the game itself, and you got to remember that's one of the few applications you're going to have for your money, thankfully contains about 12 hours of entertainment. There's 3 games, and the areas within each game are sectioned off in the form of various missions that take place on different planets. So if you or your buddies and or family want to relive what it's like to be a Jedi or Sith when you were a kid, then maybe you want to give this kit a go, but I can guarantee you PVC and duct tape, I know it hurts a little bit more, but definitely the cheaper route. Okay, next up. Not everyone with the filmmaking ambitions of a director can actually be the next Spielberg or Hitchcock. Some people, despite access to the best equipment, never attain even a fraction of that. Right, Uwe?
Flip yourself.
Well, a team of former Instagram and Apple engineers have developed Rylo. It's a 360-degree video camera that, according to the developers, emphasizes smooth videos and aims to streamline the shooting and editing process to get you right to being able to share those videos. They say that Rylo lets you shoot the video and make it perfect after the fact, meaning you don't have to worry about framing your shot or holding the camera steady to capture shake-free video. With the included options, you can even add your own realistic shaky camera techniques. Spec-wise, the camera is 4K capable, includes built-in hardware stabilization. The kit comprises of a case, 16GB micro SD card, battery, charging and sync cables, as well as a protective pouch to put the camera in. It's retailing for $499 US. The developers hope to ship the Rylo for iPhone within 2 to 4 weeks and the Android version in 2018. This next story, most people know the gentleman in it, Jamie Hyneman from MythBusters, or maybe you know him from his decades in the special effects or robotic battle industry. A strong interest in footwear that resulted in a patented two-wheel NFL Nike shoe. He is taking that experience and his interest in VR to IndieGoGo to fund a solution for VR's locomotion problem. He's effectively asking for assistance in developing a successful prototype. This would be the 7th so far, to be exact. The initial IndieGoGo is going to do exactly that, just focus on building the prototype. He's also not very comfortable with gimmicky swag. Very often swag is given as incentives for different tiers of funding. In the video, he indicates he's not comfortable with that. So again, calling upon his expertise, he's going to do things in a way that he is familiar with. He's going to have several survival tiers, as he calls them. The first one is going to be the Heinemann duct tape, and everyone knows how useful that stuff is. Beyond that, at the higher tiers, he's going to have several versions of a survival kit, cheaper ones right up to deluxe versions, and it's those higher level or tiered versions that include a handy survival flask. I love this thing. It's monogrammed with the name Rocket Fuel for filling up with life-saving beverages if you're on the trail kilometers from any civilization. So only with a successful prototype would he then go on to create a second IndieGoGo. That one would actually make the product available for backers. So right now, the design prototype is being built, and they're aiming for someone under 200 pounds. In my opinion, probably doesn't cover the average gamer demographic, but I could be wrong. I'll let you know as I hear more, guys. And then this. Back in my elitist days as a PC gamer, I would often make fun of split-screen multiplayer. Part of the allure to me at the time of FPS games, for example, was the feeling that not only were you in the world with several other people, you were hidden from them. And on a split screen, you're anything but hidden. However, changed my ways, and I will agree, and even looking back, it was one of the things I silently acknowledged. Some games actually work better with split screen. One of those, Mario Kart. It was actually fun to know exactly where your family members or friends were and what weapons they were picking up to either aim at you or other members of the family or friend group. Well, Big Screen, the social VR app, they are bringing back split screen gaming. There's a video up from Upload VR. I've linked it below. 2 players playing the game in a big screen room via split screen. So I think this is a fantastic way to play cooperatively. I think for co-op games and that Mario Kart type fun game, it works perfectly. You're probably not going to want to use this for adversarial style gaming where it's, you versus the other player. But for the other type of game, I think it could be a lot of fun, like board games, card games, etc. So here in Canada, the Target retail chain purchased another Canadian store and then went out of business. It was called Zellers. There are no Targets in Canada anymore, but if you're in the US and you're looking or eyeing a PlayStation VR purchase, or hell, even a PlayStation 4 console purchase, you might want to stick around for the Black Friday US sale. There's going to be a $100 discount, not only on the PlayStation VR bundles, but the original 1 terabyte PlayStation 4 console. What I'm not sure about is if that is going to extend to this bundle. If you want a PlayStation VR and you can't wait to go next level Viking, Sony is offering the Skyrim PlayStation VR bundle. It's going to launch in both the US and Canada on November 17th. In the US, it's $449.99 US. In Canada, $579.99 Canadian. No word on an Asian or EU bundle. The game for PlayStation VR includes the base game in its entirety and all of the official DLC. But of course, I've mentioned this before, no mod support. And like I said in the previous story linking to this one, I'm not sure if the Target discount carries over and is applicable for this bundle. But I will try to find out, and when and if I do, I'll let you know here. Next story. There was an understandable level of disappointment when Halo Recruit for Windows Mixed Reality turned out to be wave-based. But that was just the start of it. It was then discovered that its enemies were on a flat screen. Yes, a flat screen within VR. You know your game is in trouble when the actual 360-degree enemies are only shown in the tutorial. So what they did is they had the rotating enemies in full 3D at the beginning, but then when you actually fight them, you do so on a flat screen, for which may as well be just flat 2D bitmapped graphics, because that's all the experience amounts to. Well, as with Doom 3 BFG, which itself got some fan developer appreciation in the form of a VR game that, in my opinion, guys, is arguably better than a lot of native FPS games. Well, likewise, another fan developer stepping forward to give Halo the same treatment. The developer's name is Sony, and he's got some experience, so this isn't necessarily just pie in the sky wishful thinking. He converted a classic Sonic the Hedgehog level fully into VR. Now he's working on bringing the original Windows edition of Halo Combat Evolved into VR. You can follow the progress. He maintains a developer blog and he provides weekly updates on where he's at with the code. He very often uploads videos as well. There's one that I've got linked and probably playing where he's testing out the various weapons in the game. Looks all in all really good and definitely a game I would love to play in VR. I really enjoyed the original on PC. Well, guys, that is it for the Tuesday, November 7th edition of VR Roundup. You know what the next one is? Not just episode 8, but it is, of course, the Gaming Friday edition. Hopefully you guys have a kick-arse week, and we'll catch you then for the Gaming Friday weekend edition. Cheers, guys.